Remember the moment that made the entire sports world stop scrolling? One split second, one off-ball hit, one replay that refused to disappear. At first, it looked like just another physical basketball play. The referees even called it a common foul and the game moved on. But within minutes, fans were replaying the clip from every possible angle, arguing over whether it crossed a line. By the end of the night, the WNBA had upgraded the foul after review, and suddenly Kennedy Carter wasn't just part of the conversation. She had become the conversation. What happened next wasn't just about one game against Caitlin Clark. It became a story about reputation, second chances, and whether one moment can follow an athlete for years. And depending on who you ask, Kennedy Carter either became one of the league's biggest villains or one of its most misunderstood stars. But to understand why people still argue about her today, you have to go back to the play that changed everything. June 1st, 2024. The Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky were locked in a tight battle. Every possession mattered, and the atmosphere inside the arena felt like a playoff game. Fans had packed the building, cameras followed every movement of rookie sensation Caitlin Clark, and every highlight from the game was already destined to dominate social media. Late in the contest, Kennedy Carter knocked down a basket for Chicago. As Indiana prepared to inbound the ball, Clark turned her attention toward getting into position. The ball wasn't in play yet. Nobody expected anything unusual. Then it happened. Carter stepped toward Clark and delivered a hard hip check that knocked the Fever rookie to the floor. The crowd erupted. For a moment, nobody seemed to know exactly what they had witnessed. Was it simply physical basketball? Was it frustration? Or was it something more intentional? The officials immediately whistled a foul, but only ruled it a common off-ball foul. Play continued. If the game had ended there, the incident might have faded into just another controversial moment during a heated rivalry. Instead, the internet got involved. Within minutes, clips of the collision flooded social media. Fans slowed the replay down frame by frame. Analysts debated every angle. Former players weighed in. Sports shows opened with the play. Suddenly, millions of people who hadn't even watched the game were watching that replay over and over again. And the slower the video played, the more divided opinions became. Some viewers argued basketball has always been physical. Others believed Clark never saw the contact coming and had no chance to protect herself. Eventually, after reviewing the play, the WNBA upgraded the foul to a flagrant one. That decision completely changed the story. Now the discussion wasn't just about whether Carter had committed a hard foul. People began asking why the officials hadn't recognized it immediately. Critics questioned the original call. Supporters argued the league got it right after taking another look. Either way, the replay had become impossible to ignore. Ironically, though, many believe the biggest mistake Kennedy Carter made didn't actually happen on the court. It happened after the game. As reporters surrounded players inside the locker room, everyone wanted answers. Naturally, the first question centered around the collision with Caitlin Clark. Clark's response surprised many people. Instead of escalating the situation, she stayed remarkably calm. She described basketball as a competitive sport. She acknowledged emotions can get the best of players. Then she quickly shifted the conversation back toward her team's execution and the game itself. Whether people agreed with her or not, the interview avoided creating even more headlines. Kennedy Carter took a very different approach. When reporters asked about Clark, Carter immediately shut the conversation down. She made it clear she wasn't interested in discussing the incident. That short exchange spread almost as quickly as the foul itself. Television broadcasts replayed it. Sports websites quoted it. Fans debated whether refusing to answer made the situation look even worse. Some believed Carter simply didn't owe the media an explanation. Others felt that the response came across as dismissive at exactly the wrong moment. Regardless of which side people supported, the public conversation had shifted. Now it wasn't only about the foul, it was about perception. In professional sports, perception can become just as powerful as statistics. A player can score 20 points every night, but if every headline focuses on controversy instead of production, that reputation starts following them everywhere. And unfortunately for Kennedy Carter, this wasn't the first time questions about her fit with a team had surfaced. Long before the Caitlin Clark incident, Carter had already established herself as one of the most natural. Once a reputation starts following a player, it becomes incredibly difficult to separate the athlete from the headlines. That was the challenge Kennedy Carter suddenly faced. No matter how well she played, every broadcast seemed to mention the same moment. Every discussion about her future somehow circled back to that game against Indiana. It was as if one play had become the lens through which everything else would be judged. The frustrating part for Carter's supporters was that her production on the court never disappeared. Night after night, she continued proving she could score against anyone. She attacked the basket without fear. She created her own shot when possessions broke down. She remained one of Chicago's most reliable offensive weapons. By the end of the season, Carter was averaging around 17, 5 points per game, leading the Sky in scoring. In most professional leagues, numbers like that make contract decisions easy. Teams usually don't let go of players who can consistently put points on the board. Scoring is one of the hardest skills to replace. That's why what happened next surprised so many people. When the offseason arrived, Chicago chose not to extend a qualifying offer, making Carter an unrestricted free agent. For many fans, the move didn't make immediate sense. Why would a team willingly move on from its leading scorer? The answer wasn't found in the stat sheet. Instead, conversations surrounding the decision focused on something teams often describe with a single word: fit. It's one of the most common words used in professional sports, yet it's also one of the hardest to define. Sometimes it means playing style. Sometimes it means personality. Sometimes it refers to communication inside the locker room. And sometimes organizations intentionally keep the explanation vague. Whatever the exact reason, reports throughout the season had suggested there were concerns beyond basketball. People close to the league talked about chemistry. Media members questioned whether Carter fit into the long-term direction of the franchise. None of those discussions erased her talent, but they did create uncertainty. And uncertainty is something professional teams hate. General managers aren't just evaluating who scores the most points. They're asking much bigger questions. Will this player help build the culture we're trying to create? Can younger players learn from them? Will coaches have confidence that difficult situations stay inside the locker room? Those questions often matter just as much as the box score. For Carter, that reality became impossible to ignore. This also wasn't happening in isolation. Observers quickly pointed out that similar concerns had surfaced earlier in her career. During her time with the Atlanta Dream, Carter had been suspended before eventually being traded. Her stint with the Los Angeles Sparks also ended without becoming the long-term partnership many originally envisioned. Now, Chicago had become another stop that ended sooner than expected. Whether fair or unfair, patterns begin to shape opinions. One difficult season can be dismissed as bad luck. Two can be explained away. But after several organizations reach similar conclusions, front offices inevitably start paying attention. That's simply how professional sports work. General managers constantly communicate. Coaches share experiences. Scouts gather information that never appears in public.